Mm. She may be in a
Uh-oh.
stop zone. So let's go with Kim.
Okay. Okay.
Kim?
All right. Good evening, ladies. How are you?
Good.
Good, good. Can everybody hear me?
Hmm.
Yes. Okay. So my name is Kim Fuller, and my experience with domestic violence occurred over 30 years ago while in my freshman and sophomore years of college by my then boyfriend. We argued on the phone one evening, and he told me to come outside so he could slap the mess out of me. And of course, I did not believe him, and so I went outside. However, he was true to his word, and I then spent the remainder of my freshman year, the summer after my freshman year, because he lived in close proximity to my hometown, and a portion of my sophomore year under his control and abuse. I isolated myself. I only went to class and back to my room. I barely ate anything. There were no extracurricular activities. So when I arrived at college, I say this, I weighed a good 125 pounds, not today, but 125 pounds. And I wore a size 7, 8. But by the end of my sophomore year, I was down to a size 2.
Mm.
My abuser was popular and well liked, so no one thought he was capable. And that was over 30 years ago. My transformation did not come in the form of help from organizations or counseling because there were not many resources like that back then. But it came through a close friend who was my roommate at the time, who made a phone call to my mom to explain what was going on. My mother then came down and we went to the authorities at the school, and a restraining order was placed, and he was eventually not allowed back on campus. I initially put the experience behind me for many, many years. But after serving at the Prince George's County Family Justice Center, I felt compelled to work and serve in this unique community. I've been at the Family Justice Center since it opened in 2017, and I continue to do so to this day. So for years, I would see my abuser at least once a year at our college homecoming. And each time I saw him, I would feel anxious and nervous about being in his presence. I would often remove myself from the area, and he always acted as though nothing was wrong, nothing ever happened between us, and that we were cool. But my friends knew, and they protected me while in his presence, but the fear still remained. And while I was no longer fearful of what he might do to me, I held an emotional fear that I couldn't let go of. So I'm taught through my faith that forgiveness is not about the offender, but about yourself. And so, through close friendships, Christian friends, prayer, and the work at the Prince George's County Family Justice Center, I gained the courage to address my abuser in 2023. Yep, I said 2023. So, in a controlled environment, I addressed my abuser and asked to speak with him. I reminded him of what he did to me. I let him know how it affected me and how it made me feel. I said all the things to him that I had been holding on to for all those years. And I wasn't looking for anything from him. I had no expectations that he would admit to anything, or I just had no expectations. And he did apologize, but the apology was followed by excuses. So I didn't take that apology to heart, if you will. So I expressed that because of my strong and ever growing faith, I had forgiven him. And from that very point, the burden that I carried on my shoulders and in my heart for all those years was released. And I was free. I am free. I have seen him since, and I can honestly say that I feel no more anxiety or fear because for me, forgiveness is freedom. So, my words of encouragement are to be patient with yourself if you are in that predicament. There's no established timetable. I'm talking 1982-ish, 83-ish, all the way up to 2023. So your experience is your experience and not anyone else's and not your fault. But what I need everyone to know that forgiveness does lead to freedom. I am free. So thank you, ladies.
Thank you so much, Kim. And as you see, there's always a way out. We just have to have hope and faith. Thank you so much, Kim. Next, we will have Yvette.
Yes. Good evening, ladies. It's nice to be here with you all this evening. Um, my name is Yvette Billups, and my abuse occurred on January 19th, 2015, by my husband. We have been married, get ready to enter into our 15th year of marriage. I I dealt with verbal abuse from him. We couldn't have an argument without him being just downright dirty and how he would speak and how he would address me. But on January 19th, 2015, my husband decided that he wanted to punch me in my face. And when he punched me in my face, it occurred in front of my then 10-year-old daughter, I think. No, excuse me. She was 12-year-old daughter. And that night, Alexandria police had to come to our house because I stabbed him and he had to be rushed over to George Washington Hospital Center for Trauma. And I had to go down to the police precinct that night to explain what happened. And in that situation, I was walked through the system through Alexandria Advocacy Center. They walked me through because in Alexandria, at least I can say Alexandria, um, they said that in the state of Virginia, you have the right to protect yourself. So charges were not being brought against me, they would be brought against him. So once he was let out of jail, let out of the hospital, he was taken directly to jail. They walked me through getting a protective order for me and my children, um, for the school where he could not approach the school, he could not come to the home anymore. And they set up counseling for both myself and my children, to get through that situation. I also had family members who were like, "We got you. Don't worry about a thing. We will take care of everything." So I had a place to go, even though I still had control over the home. But I just didn't want to be alone. So I had family member who took me in and made sure that me and my children were okay. From that situation, the NEA Foundation was started, and I sit on that board now to help other women who have and who are going through that same situation. Also, I volunteered at the Prince George's Family Justice Center when it first opened as well. But during all that time, I knew that I was not going to get back with my husband, but I was dealing with, spiritually dealing with a lot of hardship because I knew that I was going to divorce him, but it was still hard on my heart. And and my faith was truly, truly shaken at that point. But my church offered divorce care. And with that being said, I started attending those classes, and that really helped me. That really helped me through that hard experience in my life with dealing with the violence itself, but dealing with my faith in God and what I was going to do with regards to my marriage. Um, so I would advise anyone that's going through that. I know sometimes the church may not be helpful, but sometimes it really is. If you're attending a really good church, which I was. Um, I also had to deal with my children, especially my daughter, because she was the one who saw it. And in dealing with that, she holds a lot of resentment towards her dad. She deals with her own anger issues now. And as I stated before, we gotten her counseling, but I'm in the process of getting her more counseling. Um, I'm going to say to people, don't be quiet. Don't ever be quiet about things that are going on with you. Love is not supposed to hurt. You're supposed to be able to enjoy your partner. And don't sit in it. Don't be quiet about it. You're not going through it by yourself. If you open your mouth, you'll be surprised how many people are there and will stand up and help you. Um, so I will say my faith pulled me through being able to work with other women, other people, because men are going through it as well, helps me as well. But speak up. You won't be by yourself.
Thank you so much, Yvette. What an inspiration. Can we give our first two speakers a hand? We can, a virtual clap.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
really, not always easy to get out and tell your story, but these women, just excellently tell their story with no hesitation, and they definitely have inspired me. Um, Sure, Jim Shanae, if Millicent got on, I just want to give her a chance if she did. I can't
No,
see anybody.
me.
Okay.
Mhm.
So without further ado, I'm pretty sure most of you know our next guest, none other than Miss Shanae McGee.
Thank you, Jamie. Good evening again, Gem Sisters. In March of 2022, I was engaged to my abuser. We grew up in the same hometown. Our families and friends knew each other well, so I thought we were meant to be together. It sounds good. We would have all the support we would ever need. However, my abuser would often issue threats about what he could do and his ability to cause physical harm to me. I found it particularly challenging as I came to accept everything he said as truth. He would throw his firearm into the air quickly and release it as a scare tactic so I would not end the engagement, in which that took about 7 months to decide to end this relationship. I was living at home I shared with my children and my mother, as well as working full time. President, Vice President of a national organization and the founder of the NEA Foundation Incorporated, where I considered myself to be the face to help domestic violence survivors. There were many moments when I felt though I might become my own client because I am the founder of the NEA Foundation, which is a nonprofit that offers safe housing services for survivors of domestic violence. Now, I found that I needed protection too, especially considering the fallout could impact my children, most important, my son. I couldn't let my son and daughter believe that this was a relationship. This was how a relationship evolved and would be, or risk them being harmed. It would undermine everything, and I mean everything that I taught them about healthy relationships. Having been a partner of the Prince George's County Family Justice Center for several years, I was familiar with the services through my work and supporting survivors and their families. The most impactful support I received was assistance with filing and obtaining an emergency protective order, as well as access to legal counsel. My experience at the Family Justice Center helped alleviate my fear of my abuser and the mental and verbal and silent abuse I had endured. Although I had always although I've always provided strength for the clients I've served, being on that receiving end and such support was both humbling and empowering. After securing a protective order in attendant court, knowing that the Family Justice Center and many other partners stood beside me, I gained my strength and no longer lived in fear. I began living with the confidence and reclaimed my independence. I started applying for job promotions and successfully attained them. And over time, fear gave way to self assurance and empowerment. I strongly encourage those that are suffering in silence to seek help and persist in your pursuit of safety. We are here, we're helping, and we'll help with the healing as well. Continue to ask for help, even if the first person said no. Continue to ask for help from someone else. They will help you. Your future can be empowered too. I did it. You can do it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jim Shanae, for sharing. What an inspiration. And I just want to remind those of you who may not know and may be going through that there is a whole lot of help out there. I'm not only a member of Voices, but I do work for the Prince George's County Office of the Sheriff, where I do advocacy work for victims of domestic violence. And the Sheriff's Office partners with the Family Justice Center. And what's good about the Family Justice Center is that they offer an array of services all in one core location for victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, and human trafficking. So please reach out to someone. Sometimes you do feel, as the lady say, you do feel like you're alone, but there's help right in your own backyard for free services. So I just wanted to, encourage anyone going through that we do have, where we're willing and waiting to help any victim of domestic violence. Thank you very much. So I would like to again turn it over to our co-chair, Ms. Kim Fuller, to go over, about how you can become a member of Voices or an ambassador.
Jamie,
Did you want to?
Millicent is up now, so
Oh, she's there. Okay,
yes.
great. She has a wonderful story to tell. Millicent, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Without further ado, we do have another ambassador. I'm so grateful that she was able to join us, Miss Millicent.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for your patience. I was actually on the road, so I was kind of in a drop zone. So thank you so much for bearing with me. And thank you to all of the ladies that have gone before me. So I met my ex-husband during my junior year of college. He was different than any guy I had dated before. We met one night at a club called the East Side. For those of you that are my age, you remember the East Side. At that time, I had no idea what he did for a living, but later I found out he was a hustler. Red flag number one. We exchanged numbers that night, and when I called him the next day, he didn't even recognize me at first. Red flag number two. Despite these early signs, we continued seeing each other throughout the remainder of my college years. Like many couples, we had what I thought were normal arguments, and I didn't think much of them. As graduation approached, I was thrilled to be reaching such a big milestone. We spent the week discussing plans for him to join my family at the ceremony. But when graduation day arrived, he was nowhere to be found. He didn't attend my college graduation. Red flag number three, I was heartbroken. But we continued to date for another 3 years and eventually married in 1994. despite my mother's clear disapproval, red flag number 4. During the first year of our marriage, he had an affair and got another woman pregnant. I was also 6 months pregnant myself when I found out. Once again, I was devastated. Over the years, the emotional, verbal, and financial abuse in our marriage grew. By year 5, I had reached my limit. At that time, I didn't fully understand where there's emotional and verbal abuse, physical abuse often isn't far behind. I didn't experience the financial abuse until after the marriage ended, but the emotional toll was already immense. One night, after spending the evening at my mother's, I came home late. We got into a heated argument, and for the first time, he physically assaulted me. He accused me of having an affair, threw me around the bedroom like a rag doll, and began choking me. In that terrifying moment, I cried out to the Lord, asking him not to let this man kill me, and suddenly he released me. That night, I called the police, a temporary restraining order, and later returned to court for a 1-year protective order. From there, I pursued a legal separation, and 2 years later, I filed for divorce. After filing for divorce, I sought counseling for myself and my son, which became an important part of our healing journey. Looking back, I can clearly see the warning signs I ignored, the red flags that I now encourage others to heed. Today, I find myself in a very different chapter of my life. I volunteer at the Family Justice Center, giving back and supporting others who are walking similar paths. And I've been, I think, since 2018. My husband and I have just celebrated our 23rd wedding anniversary, a testament to healing, resilience, and growth. Healing is the key. Thank you.
Millicent, I'm sorry, go back because you went out. So I'm not sure if they heard the part about before you celebrating your new anniversary. You muted.
Just back?
Yeah, say the
Okay.
part before. Yeah.
Um, so looking back, I can clearly see the warning signs I ignored, the red flags that I now encourage others to heed. Today, I find myself in a very different chapter of my life. I volunteer at the Family Justice Center, and I've been there since 2018, giving back and supporting others who are walking similar paths. My second husband and I have just celebrated our 23rd wedding anniversary, a testament to healing, resilience, and growth. Healing is the key.
Mm-hmm.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much. Want to give Millicent a hand. Thank you for joining us, Millicent. I really wanted your story to be told as well. Again, we thank all of our ambassadors. It's not always easy to get up and, could be triggering sometimes to go back and tell a story, but these ladies really have a great story to tell and very inspiring.
Mhm.
So now, Jim Shanae, would you like to go forward with explaining how to be a member or be a part of Voices, or did you have something else?
Yeah,
Sorry.
before
Okay.
Kim speaks, I
Okay.
just wanted to let the organization know Voices is a part of a Family Justice Center across the United States. So if you're in an area where, or city where there's a Family Justice Center, there's a Voices network available for you. And if you're not sure, reach out to the DV committee and we will look that up. One of the other things that we're doing, and most of the chapters have done so already, was sent 3 um, domestic violence organizations to us. So by the end of, I think we said January, February, we will have pulled together resources across the United States where we are have a chapter in where if you know someone or someone needs information, resources about domestic violence, whether it's for adults or children, we will be able to go to the resources pamphlet for domestic violence and share that information to any of our members that are in need of services or know someone that needs services. Um, so I wanted to make sure I said that. And after Kim Fuller speaks, we'll have any Q&As if you have any. We'll answer. Kim?
Let me come off mute. Okay, thank you. So with respect to becoming a member of Voices, there is an application and Shanae, I'm sorry, I'm going to ask if maybe you could drop the email address in the chat, but there's an application that we have, and one of the criteria is for you to have had a lived experience with domestic violence as a survivor, and you have come out of it and you are on the other side. There are some other questions, and then there is an interview process as well. So Shanae will probably drop the email address in there. If you're interested in becoming a member, then you would send an email and we would get you the application or make sure that you have the application. I think there's eventually will be a site with a hyperlink on it, but it's not set up yet. But if you're interested now, you can drop a email to that email address and we can get you the application. But it's you know, we would love to have you if you are willing and ready to work and share your story, share your testimony. Look forward to hearing from some folks.
Are there any, thank you, Kim. Are there any questions or comments? I can't see the chat. No. Any hands raised? No,
I don't see any.
I don't see anything.
Can I just make a comment?
Yes.
I'll take my screen off. I just wanted to personally thank you, ladies, for your stories. I like Jim Shanae or Shanae knows, this month is very special to me. My best friend was lost because of domestic violence. I mean, thank God her accuser's in jail for life. But I just thank you and appreciate the stories. They actually helped me as well. And just to know that people are surviving, they're doing well. And I anything you guys need, I would love to volunteer and help out. If I can help just one more person, I know that, I'm doing something to keep her name living. So thank you for your courage to be able to tell your story.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Any additional comments or questions?
This is Connie. I just wanted to share an observation. And it's interesting because one of the things that I learned from each one of your stories, especially that hits hard, is too, there's each one of us on this call, whether we have been a victim of full domestic violence, partial, or almost, or we just missed it, can be one step away from it happening any day and any time, no matter who we are. And what's interesting to me is that we talked about red flags. We talked about bad marriages or things that occurred in marriages, or things that we saw before we got married, or things that we didn't do, such as tell somebody. I remember growing up, I think I lived on the edge of every last one of those. Something happening in school and somebody told my mama, having a red flag with a boyfriend, and he just, everything that happened. And thank God, it didn't turn into a situation. But even in my marriage, I'm on my second marriage of 35 years. So love comes, love happens. But that first marriage was a doozy. It was a doozy. And I just want to say, having faith and having forgiveness, having knowledge and education
Mm-hmm.
Programs like these
Mm-hmm.
um, are very helpful, and we should always stay not just prayed up, but we should also be, you know, educated so that we always keep this in front of our mind, in
Mm-hmm.
front of what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes, we can get caught up in the goodness of life and forget that our sisters, our brothers, our children are out there.
Yeah.
And if we can help, we need to help
Mm-hmm.
and teach.
Yeah.
Yes.
So thank you
Mm-hmm.
because I learned a lot. It's always a great reminder.
Mm-hmm. Thank you,
Yeah.
Connie.
I
One
like
of the
that. Sistered up. That's right.
mm-hmm.
Anita Hicks said it. We need to stay sistered up.
Stirred up, exactly.
That's right.
I think I've been an advocate for domestic violence for over 10 years now. And what I found interesting with me is because when you meet me, or if you don't already know me, I bleed purple, purple and yellow, yellow for the gems and purple for DV. So the fact that he was even testing me was a shock. And it goes back to ignoring. Now I heard him speak mean to other people, but never me. Like that's unheard of. And then
Yeah.
it was me. So it was and being with voices has been inspiring because being on one side of protecting and saving and on the front line, and then understanding what survivors are going through is totally different now. My heart is so heavy, and I wouldn't change that experience for anything because I know better. I know
Mhm.
more.
Mhm.
I am so much more empowered than I was before. So, uh,
Absolutely.
hmm so,
Absolutely.
hmm any other comments or
I
questions?
just wanted to make one comment and kind of piggyback on what Constance said. Um, my church is having a webinar next month or next week, I'm sorry. And their little blurb, if you will, is everyone knows someone.
Hmm.
So that's very true. We do. We all do. And I think a lot of times people think if they're not being physically abused, that it's not abuse. But
Hmm.
abuse is in many, many, many forms. Now, in my situation, it started out as physical abuse, but all those years that I carried that was emotional, which is why I had so much angst when I saw him. I honestly didn't think that because I was always in a public place, right? So when I saw him, so I knew he wouldn't do anything to me physically in front of all these people because everything he did was behind closed doors.
Hmm.
So I wasn't fearful of that. It was the emotional abuse that I carried for 20 plus, almost 30 years
Hmm.
that weighed me down. And so we have to think about that. We have to think about Millicent mentioned financial abuse. So
Hmm.
there's many, many forms. And so, we just need to educate early on. And, women, our sisters, our friends, we just need to educate to make sure that they understand that it's not only physical abuse. And,
Hmm.
I am it's my goal just to, as others have said here, just to help someone, understand that there is another side. There's a
Yeah.
side, there's a good side, there's a side out of it because we're all products of that. And
Hmm.
so if they can see that from us, and we're all totally different stories. We've got four different stories here. And so, but we're all on the other side of that and the better for it. And if just one person can see that, then that makes all the difference to me.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thanks,
We have
Kim.
a hand raised.
Yvonne has a question.
Yes, we have
Okay.
a hand raised.
Are you on mute?
Yeah.
Hmm. Yvonne.
Are
We
you on
can't.
mute, Yvonne?
Huh. Let's see. Hmm.
Hear me?
Mhm.
There.
She's speaking.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
Hmm.
Okay. Cool.
very,
I just
very
wanted
light.
to, no problem. I just wanted to say that number one, I applaud each and every one of you who actually spoke here this evening. You did a fantastic job of advocating for where you are in your lifespan right now. And I always challenge people that I counsel as well to say, what would you do at this age versus what you did at 20?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people did not have the wisdom that we have at this age when they were a lot younger. But they're having children now. So, what do you tell your younger children or your nieces or your nephews about putting your hands on people? And it used to be, oh, they're pulling my hair. And that's supposed to be, oh, they like you. And not understanding that that is a form of violence as well. You know, don't touch me kind of thing. So I teach my granddaughters. I have well, six of them, and I have three grandsons, and I tell them all the time, you know, there is no good touch, bad touch. All touches, if you don't want someone to touch you, are bad. Period. You have to have permission to touch someone's person. Going through and experiencing what I did with my second husband, and the domestic violence that I suffered at his hands well over 30 years ago, I echo what everyone else has said as well. It is psychological, it is devastating as you go through it. But also, as someone said, I think it was Sister Anita who said about staying sistered up, we all see the signs when our coworkers come into work and they're disheveled or they have a black eye or something is going on with them that is completely out of character for what they're going through. You don't always have to know it, but you see it. You can suggest things, leave a pamphlet on their desk, something to give them that knowledge that, hey, we're here. Even if you don't want to talk to me, there are programs that can help you. I had a young lady call me at 1 o'clock in the morning from South Carolina, and I lived in New Jersey. And because I was in the motorcycle community, she just happened to have my phone number from an event, and she said, I need some help. And we sent all types of help her way at 1 o'clock in the morning. So it's never too late to
Hmm.
advocate for your sister. That's
Hmm.
all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Yvonne. Thank you so much for sharing that information.
We have
Yeah.
we have a question in the chat, Jim Shanae.
Okay. Can you,
It's I told you I had my glasses, but I'm gonna try. It says, do we find same victims in more than one abusive relationship?
Jamie, can you answer that? Because
Yeah,
mhm,
yes, I
mhm,
can. I just have to say it. We do. And the reason behind, because if you do not um, learn and identify, like Jim Connie was saying, educating ourselves about the red flags of domestic violence, and we cannot identify them, then we think, oh, we're going to end this relationship and we're going to oh, I got a man, but we're not identifying the red flags. And I always tell my, clients that come in the office, there's one, um, that I didn't know when I first came in, as an advocate. And as I began to learn and study, one of the red flags is, a man who is just hell bent on moving into your home, with nothing to do and no job, and then they suck the life out of you, right? When you're trying to get, your studies and you're going to work and you're making a living and they're at home and they become envious of you. And then unless you're spending your money on them, then they're not happy. Then they cause, arguments and chaos and confusion that trickle on into the children and the rest of the family dynamic. That's a red flag. And so if you're not identifying the red flags, you will move on to another, relationship, and end up, possibly in another domestic violence relationship, there's also something called poly-victimization. And so I remember one of our members talking about the trauma from childhood, and I thought it was a very significant comment that she said. And it made me think, because I think we all go through it. I hit it, but our relationship with, especially our mothers, as women, with our mothers, and there's trauma there. And we're angry about some of those things. And then we break, the empty nest comes and we go on and we move into a more significant relationships. And then we are just, not unable to, regulate in a relationship, and it becomes a problem. Because sometimes it can be us, you know what I'm saying? Not that we deserve abuse, but we just don't know how to have a relationship. And
Right.
we are who we are because of our childhood, I always say. So, just being, um, you know, you know, resolute and, saying that, what, maybe it's time to go to therapy and get some therapy on myself before I move on into a relationship might be key and essential. So,
I agree with you 100%, but just also remember that a lot of the trauma that you inflict from your mother is also a manifestation from your father, and how angry you could be if he's not in the household, because then you put that anger upon your mother for why your dad isn't there. And you
true.
don't know the
Mhm.
entire story about what she went through
That's
Right.
right.
potentially in a
Mhm.
domestic violence situation.
That's
So
right.
there's lots of things to weigh when you're raising girls or boys.
Mhm.
I totally agree with that.
Mhm. Yeah, one of the things I wanted to press upon, if you live in an area that has a justice center, a family justice center, reach out to them because all of the resources are free. Protective orders free. Counseling, whether you need an attorney for court. I ended up, there's more to my story, but I ended up needing a defense attorney, me, free. Um, I needed counseling for the kids, again, free. At the Prince George's Family Justice Center, if you need hospital care. We have a facility inside the building that you can be checked out if need. Again, free. So and if you're not sure if there's a family justice center in your city, reach out to me. I'm a safe space. I'll get you that help you need. So, again, any more comments, questions? I can't see if there are
Yeah,
any.
I also wanted to mention about the safe house as well, because I think it's very important to know that we do have a safe house in Prince George's County for anybody who is in imminent danger. Um, so, you can always, there's a hotline that you can call at any time. And then you can also reach out to one of us for help.
Mm,
And they do take children, they do take pets and all
yeah.
kinds of things that are important to us. So I just wanted to make mention of that.
Yeah.
This is Connie.
Yes.
I have a question.
Hmm.
Maybe it's minor, but you made me think about it, Shanae, when you said I needed a defense attorney.
Yes.
And I think one of our panelists also said, well, uh, my abuser hit me, but they ended up in the hospital.
Correct. Hmm.
Okay. And so I assume that there can be situations where a victim becomes an abuser,
Yes.
can become an abuser. And that's probably a whole
Hmm.
nother thing, because when you talked about your childhood, you could be a victim of child abuse.
Yes.
I mean, of abuse, and then grow up and become an abuser.
That's usually
Okay,
how that started. It's a
that
learned
started, right.
behavior. Yeah.
But the question has to do with, if there's a fire, they say, and you're on fire, stop, drop, and roll.
Hmm.
If there is a sniper or someone who comes into school, what is it? Flight. There's a new thing for
Like,
that.
hmm.
Say it
Fight
again.
or flight.
Flight or
Yeah,
Fight
fight.
or
fight
flight.
or
Hmm.
flight, right.
Hmm.
Is there one for domestic violence when you find yourself in a situation where it's getting ready to become either physical or to that part that heightened? What is your safe the process that you should follow? Is there something that you should do, stop, because sometimes when we're in the height of a situation, we could be adding fuel to the fire.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you not add fuel to the fire? Not saying that you're doing it on purpose because you're
Right.
inciting someone, but
Mhm.
sometimes it doesn't matter what you're doing.
Right.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Right.
whatever you try, you can do this and it's wrong, and you can do that, it's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But what are some tips that you give folks on when you're in that situation, what to do?
Mm-hmm.
I,
Um,
I-
for me, the verbal I could get down with because my mom is verbal, so it goes back to that childhood um, rearing, if you will.
Right,
My
because
mom,
yeah,
most of
because
you,
yeah, I'm sorry, but the other thing too was because one person said, I thought that our arguments were normal.
exactly. That was Millie. Um, she
Hmm.
talked. Um, she talked about that in the beginning. When you have a strong mom, and they say certain things, then I'm like, I could get down with the best of them until until you can't. And that was in me. I didn't have a firearm at the time, so I couldn't go firearm to firearm. So I was like, okay, be quiet. So for me, it was think about getting out of this room safely. So I started thinking about how to diffuse just to get out of that space. So I guess my advice would be if you can diffuse, because sometimes an abuser, once they're gone, they're gone. But if you can diffuse the argument, stop yourself from speaking or being physical, my suggestion would be that diffuse until you can get to a safer space. Anyone like Yvonne?
would-
I think you have a comment.
I do, and I'm
Okay.
sorry, but Jamie was going to
sorry.
go first. Go right ahead, Jamie.
No, 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 go. I can wait. Sorry.
Oh, no problem. I was just going to say it. I'm with you on what you just said, Shanae,
Mm-hmm.
about de-escalation. However, you have to have a plan, no
Yeah.
matter what you're doing. You have to learn how not to tell your abuser things that you're planning because it has to catch them unawares. When
Yep.
you're ready to go, you need to be ready to go. Your children need to be prepared if necessary, if they're old enough to understand that and
Mm-hmm.
to keep your confidences as well. You need to have enough money put away, even if it's only a few dollars. You need to have a confidant who knows exactly whatever your route is, where you're going. You need to turn off your locators, change your credit cards, things that are your norm. You need to change your pattern because
Mm-hmm.
that is how a lot of people unfortunately get murdered or get caught. I changed my entire job when I left my husband. I picked my children up from school that day and unenrolled them without his knowledge. There were
Mm-hmm.
things that just had to be done without his knowledge until, like you said, Shanae, you get to a safe place. But de
Mm-hmm.
escalation is the most important when you're in a hostile situation. But
Mm-hmm.
once you get past that, you have to think smartly, especially if you have younger children, on
Exactly.
how you're going to get out of that and deflect. Be as nice as possible, do all of the things that they like for you to do, but in the meantime, you're making your plans.
Mm-hmm. And Jamie, before you chime in, two things that I did that I thought was very important. My neighbors, I told them if my porch light is on beyond 8 a.m., call the police. Don't come over here and check on me. Just call the police because something obvious is wrong because I had not turned that light off. So if my porch light was on at 8:10, call the police because one of the first things I would do is if I was okay, I was going to turn the porch light off immediately. But if it stayed on past 8 a.m., call the police. Don't come knocking on the door. Don't ask, can you help me? Because that's just going to angry the abuser even more. That was one of the things that I did. And the other thing with my kid, or my both kids, you you know your kids' language. So for me, I said, "Hey, this joker or this clown or this silly person. But if I say, man, this joker is really funny today, joker was the word that they needed to know if something was wrong with mommy. So I would be like, this joker, and they would know to leave the house and go get help. And those are some of just the little nuggets. I mean, I have a whole bunch, but I thought those were the most two impactful things that I could share with them and my neighbors to protect everybody that was involved. Okay, Jamie, I think you were next.
I think you guys said most of the things that I was going to say. Safety planning is the key.
Hmm.
But I also want to remind everybody that sometimes leaving for women, you say, "Oh, just leave." It may not be the safest thing to do. Women are in the most danger when they are leaving because the partner is losing the control. We have already had and I'm just going to say it, 13 homicides this year related to domestic violence.
Is that just
You
in
know,
Prince George's County?
Georgia County.
Mm.
And I always like to remind people to definitely, your partner, every safety plan is customized to you and your family.
Hmm.
As Ms. Yvonne, I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses. I left them at work. Was saying, have the safety plan that includes your children. We,
Hmm.
at the sheriff's office, we have so many children, and all you have to do is turn on the news and hear some horror stories about children getting hurt by default because they don't know what to do, right? And so we always teach my clients, like she was saying, pack a bag. We're not talking about a bag, what you're gonna wear next week and your new shoes, and a emergency bag. And like Jim Connie was saying, and it was interesting that she use, like, how she was describing the plan. Like I always tell them, act like you're having a baby, like what we used to do. We didn't know when the baby was coming, so we had our bag and we had our gear, packed and ready to go. And so it's the same type thing, like when our parents used to say, hey, if there's a fire, meet at the tree. We had a plan.
Hmm.
Same thing with domestic violence, have that bag packed. Tell your older children what to do with the younger children. If you can't, like Shanae was saying, give a code word. If I say the word donuts, the plan is in action. Because if you do not do that, children always feel like that they can defend, especially their mother, and they always jump in, and it most of the time does not, because in the heat of passion, I don't care if he's the father or not, the goal is you. The control is on you. So some kids go flying, some kids get hurt. There was one story last year where, killed a 10-year-old. So we really do have to be mindful. And I always, this last point is, if you do not, I know it's very significant and it sounds crazy, but it's very significant. If you do not call 911, they are not coming. And most women, especially, um, they negotiate with their partner behind a door or behind a sliding door. Like, don't you do this. If you come in here, I'm going to call the police. Then boom, they get in there. And we've had victims locked in a small bathroom for up to 3, 4 days before they're allowed out. And it just happens and nobody knows. So it's always, if you're in a relationship of that kind, just a reminder to let somebody, like Jim Shanae was saying, let somebody know where you are. Code words, form 5-way texts
Hmm.
can help, because sometimes people don't have time to say, oh, this is happening, blah, blah, blah. The SOS system on our phones can help. So just those little things, just maybe something that we're saying tonight can help you help someone else or help you yourself. So thank you. That's all I wanted to
Hmm.
add.
Mariel, I see your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to say real quick, because I know the time is moving. But
Hmm.
what I used to tell my clients, at a minimum, first of all, the situations can vary so much. I did this for like 12 years, and it's always something that came up that I was like, oh, it was a different situation, and that affects how you safety plan. But at the minimum, I would tell them, when you know that the situation or an argument is going to escalate, try to avoid the kitchen. It's a lot of things in there and a lot of ways to get hurt in the kitchen. and to try to position yourself where the door is so that you're not boxed in and you can get out.
Right. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thanks for that, Maria. That's great. That is great advice.
Yes,
Don't be boxed in. Um,
right. If you can avoid it, yeah.
Absolutely. And if you are again, you're on trying to save yourself and get out safely. One of the other things that I learned in these years as an advocate, when our family and friends come to us for help, do not say, "I'm gonna kill him if he do something," because what you're saying now to the person that needs help, she already dealing with one fool. Now she got to worry about you, her protector, being hurt or getting in trouble. So just ask, how can I help? What do you need? But do not immediate. And I know some of us would be like, if he did that, I'm gonna do this. Or it could be a female. If she did this, I'm gonna choke her, or I'm gonna do this. Don't say those things, because all that doing is keeping your friend or family member quiet, because they
Yes.
don't want you to get hurt trying to help them. Just
Yes.
ask, what can I do? You all know me. Oh, I have a friend, I have a member who can get you some information. Make the call. We'll get you the information. Um,
And my father always says OGs move in silence anyway.
mhm, absolutely. For all of the domestic violence committee members that's on the call, can you just raise your hand so others can see who you are? And if they need assistance, they're noted you're part of the DV, on the DV committee as well.
And Shanae, there's like two other questions in the chat. I don't know if, or one, I'm sorry, one other question in the chat about
Okay.
how do you do family gatherings and can we learn anything from the Joker's past trauma?
Post trauma. Who is that? Jim
Post trauma, I'm
Janice?
sorry.
Jim Janice, can you explain your questions, please?
Yeah, I'll be glad to. I just wonder if there's and thank you first of all for pulling this together. It's much needed. I never experienced it and hope no one I know has to for me to have to step in.
Hmm.
However, I just wonder if there's studies on the patterns in the those who traumatize people. I know a lot of people are jailed
Hmm.
for other things and may have done this. But is there anybody spending time to help us to avoid it? I mean, I've had to get a background check for work, for church, for girls mentoring, for just doing paperwork for a school system, and yet
Right.
people can just get away with
Hmm.
the worst. I just
Right.
wondered.
We've often wanted to put together a platform, if you will, of all abusers, but we can't. Um, my best advice would to be, you can always look someone up. Yeah. Jimmy Bond, I'm sorry, Yvonne just put it in the chat. You can always look someone up. And I think Maryland has a free one as well. They have assault. It will show assault. And here's a flag that we probably always overlook. If you're riding with your person and someone cuts them off and the abuse is just, it's not, oh, you cut me off, but if it's outrageous, that's a possibility that there's some domestic violence there somewhere. Or
But don't
if
forget about
someone's,
how they treat
is
their parents.
angry, yeah, if
You have
they
to be
speak
aware.
angry,
Yeah. You got to be
yeah,
aware of temperaments.
yep.
You have to be aware, you just have to be aware of characteristics. And unfortunately, I don't have a percentage, but just in some training that I did, a lot of it is unresolved trauma.
Mm-hmm.
and trauma being, again, not just physical, whatever, but just unresolved trauma
Mm-hmm.
for the abuser, and, them not being able to uh, understand their own selves, I guess I would say. And
Right.
so this is their way to, lash out, or because you could not be doing anything really. I mean, this is just going back to one of the questions that Constance said, you really could be doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever's going on with them, with my abuser, I mean, I don't really go, I mean, I don't have a problem sharing different experiences. I just don't get into it. But I remember one day we were riding in the car and I was driving, and I'm 60 years old. So I'm in the era of when you used to hang your high school tassel off your rear view mirror,
Right.
and the windows were rolled up and he set that on fire. Like nothing was happening. And
Wow.
he set that on fire.
Mm-hmm.
And so, of course, I'm in a panic because I'm driving. And when I look back on those things, and when it happened, I'm like, now what just happened here? Nothing. Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just so, the dynamics of abusers, why they do it, and what all it's just, and when and how and whatever, it just runs the gamut.
Yeah.
And all of the nuggets that the ladies have said thus far, they're great. And you also have to be real and know that in some cases it's just, is you
Yeah.
just have to deal with, I guess, whatever comes, right? I mean, there are plenty of times for code words and not being boxed in. And when she said boxed in, I was like, yeah, I was in a car. I was really boxed in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? But
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
so it's just and that guy, I found out later on, he had a lot of unresolved issues with his dad, and
Mm-hmm.
all of that. I didn't know that at the time. I'm 18, 19 years old, right? Nobody's
Mm-hmm.
thinking about that kind of stuff. But you got to look at temperament is definitely one thing that you need to, like Millicent was saying, this happened, red flag, this happened. You got to really start looking at those types of things.
Mm-hmm.
They
Okay.
need to have some type of courses like they used to have home ec and sewing and typing. They need to have it for these young boys and girls as a
Absolutely.
requirement in
Mm-hmm.
school as well, to have a domestic violence course in order to graduate, to see the triggers and things like that, and have some type of advocate or counselor or
Mm-hmm.
therapist come in and really talk to them and work out scenarios, because a
Yes,
lot of
yes,
these
yes.
students come from broken homes. They
Mm-hmm.
don't know
Yes.
the proper way to act.
Yeah, and we've been in some of the schools here in the county, um, as an outreach program to talk about healthy relationships. I've been in the churches, so thank God that the churches are listening. And I've been as far as the detention centers to talk to the youth about healthy relationships and boys and girls clubs. So wherever wherever there's a need, and if you know of one, give us a call. We will definitely show up and gear the information towards that age group. My son, we had a event last week, and my son, his sophomore year in college, he was here and he attended, and he was like, "Ma, how can I get you to Virginia State?" I said, "You set it up, we'll be there."
Mhm.
So, before your question, Muriel, um, Janice, you said, can we learn anything from the Joker's post trauma? Are you talking about the abuser? I think so.
Yeah, I'm talking about the person, yeah.
Okay, what
Once
we,
they it's over, quote unquote, the victim is safe. Is
Mm-hmm.
there any kind of dialogue to try to figure it out? Because every
Mm-mm.
abused person doesn't abuse, but there are a large majority who fall in that category.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that I don't work with abusers directly, but some of the resources I may give to an abuser for them to get help. We
Yes.
don't keep a
Mhm.
dialogue with them. Um, remember, abuse is a learned behavior. It's not they were drinking. It wasn't they lost their job. They not drugging. It's a learned behavior, and what it's doing is taking. Um, Putting fear in having control over another person by any means necessary.
Right. But all
So,
don't go to jail. And so they're not tracked to see if this is a repeat with
Right.
someone else. I'm trying to get at how many actually have to pay somewhere along the line for what they've done.
it just depends. For me, my person, the protective order was 2 years, and because I work in the system, I had most of the time you're going to get one police officer or one sheriff. I had four sheriffs that come to my home. I had almost every Prince George's police officer who works in domestic violence in the courtroom with me. So imagine me um, being the face, as I would say, of domestic violence, and a police officer show up to read me rights because he has to serve a warrant for me. So
Mm-hmm.
that scared my person by itself in the day of court. When I tell you, there must have been 60 people in the courtroom with purple on.
Mm.
It was the most amazing and emotional experience ever because I got that much support. And that's the message that I want to leave with you all. There is support. There are new laws. If you fight and a child is in the home, that is a federal offense. You don't even have to
Mm.
say anything. That's now a federal 20 years off the break for Maryland.
Mm.
So there is help. If you are being strangled, there now a test that I think is either 48 or 72 hours that they can still tell that you were strangled. Again,
Mm.
a federal offense. So the laws have changed tremendously to help survivors, victims. We just got to know that you need help. We just need to know. Mario had one question, and then we're gonna
Thank you.
close out because I don't want to have you guys on too
No,
long.
I didn't have a question. My hand was still up for that committee. I
Oh,
just put it down.
okay,
We're
okay.
good.
Okay. Again, I want to say thank you for sharing your evening with us this evening. We will have that resource manual for our organization as soon as possible. Um, if you have additional questions, you can send it to the DV at legems1955.org email. Again, you all have my name and number, email. If you don't want to send it there and you need a safe space, I am here. Um, I will share my experience with you and all the resources that I could ever put my hands on. You will receive it. Um, Connie, I want to close out now with you, please. And again, thank you so much. I love y'all so much.
I'm just going to say thank you, thank you, thank you, everyone, for joining us. Fantastic show of support from everyone here. Fantastic speakers, um, our moderator, you, the committee. Thank you so much. And I just want to say, I'm going to go back to one of our first initiatives, and one of my friends who wrote a book that said, in this house.
Yeah.
And I want everybody to know we have got to stop telling our kids, and what goes on in this house stays in this house.
That's right.
Sing like a bird.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sing
Mm-hmm.
like a bird, whatever it had, but you got to sing the right message. But what goes on in this house, if it's not right, you need to tell somebody. And I
Mm-hmm.
appreciate your stories and the fact that you have shared them with us. Because when you tell us, it helps. And
Mm-hmm.
we share that, and I'll be happy to share your stories some more too. But anyway, thank you so much. Again, I want everyone to have a good night.
Mm-hmm.
Sleep well, stay well, and have peace of mind and peace of heart as we move on from tonight.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Madam
everybody.
President. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you all.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And thank you for having us as well.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. All right. All right, ladies. But again, thank you.